Webinar is titled Extending Sales into the Field with PolSource Field Service Quotes. My name is Adam Barcroft and I'm an account executive at Salesforce within our Quote to Cash team. Today we have speakers from Salesforce, PolSource and our joint customer Aggreko, which we are very excited about. The PolSource Field Service Quote, or FSQ as it's known, is an accelerator that empowers employees in the field, whether they are salespeople or mobile technicians, with the ability to quote and offer additional products and services whilst they are out on site with the customer. This is done by leveraging two Salesforce technologies, CPQ and FSM. Go to the next slide, please, Michael. We have a packed agenda today, but we'll have some time for Q&A at the end. During the session, please feel free to ask questions using the Zoom Q&A window, and we'll try to answer as many as possible at the end. After the webinar, we'll of course be following up with a copy of the slides and recording of today's session. Next slide. So our speakers today, from PolSource, we have Michael, their Quote to Cash practice lead, Greg, the Global Consulting VP, Ben, Field Service Practice Lead, and then from Salesforce, you have myself, as well as Anver, one of our lead solutions engineers. We're also extremely happy to have Donna with us today. He's from one of our mutual customers, Aggreko. Donna is Aggreko's initiative head and has been overseeing a CPQ transformation project with PolSource. I won't steal Donna's thunder, but it's a fantastic story, and thanks again, Donna, for joining us today. Next slide, please, Michael. I will open today's webinar with an overview of Salesforce CPQ and Billing. I will then hand over to Avner to provide an overview of the Salesforce Field Service before PolSource show how we bring both solutions together to deliver field service quoting with their accelerator. And of course, then we'll move on to the Aggreko custom story with Donna. So before jumping straight into the CPQ solution, I want to provide some context and drivers for CPQ. Most companies started small with one or two products with a single revenue model. But as a business begins to grow and scale, companies will look for new ways to expand their business, whether that's through new products and services or through acquisition or new revenue models. We're also seeing a major shift in companies taking traditional products and services and moving those to subscription or usage-based models. For this reason, quoting and proposals are becoming much more complex to structure and manage, and back office processes are often under strain to meet the demands of this shift. As the title of this slide suggests, growth requires continuous innovation, but in order to innovate, you need the underlying processes and systems to enable you to go to market with those innovations. Next slide, please. The challenge with those business changes is that companies' quote to cash systems and processes struggle to keep up. What worked when they were a small single product company won't necessarily work now as they've grown and diversified. So we see businesses creating what we call duct tape type solutions. That could be using Excel or Google Documents with VLOOKUP tables, or plugging the holes with teams of people to manage those processes manually. And these serve as band-aid solutions that do not scale and ultimately will hit a breaking point. The breaking point can manifest itself in a number of different ways. The obvious one is limiting the company's ability to innovate and launch new products, as I alluded to earlier, but it also leads to inefficiencies created by disconnected systems. And these duct tape type solutions become a headache to manage and create major challenges around not only sales inefficiencies, but also data quality, revenue leakages, and ultimately poor customer buying experience. Next slide, please. So this slide provides an overview of the Salesforce CPQ and billing capability. It looks busy, but let me break it down and take you through it. So Salesforce CPQ and billing is part of the Customer 360. It serves as a bridge between your front and back office. Front office being on the left-hand side of this slide and back office being on the right-hand side. And this unifies sales and finance teams and enables them to work more collaboratively together and focus on the customer. Looking at the top of this slide, you can configure deals, negotiate pricing, generate quotes, and fulfill sales orders. You can then send invoices and collect payments all on the Salesforce platform. We know that every business is different and that business is constantly evolving. So with CPQ and billing, we support all revenue models and transaction types. You can see that on the second and third line there. I had a customer recently that made 4 acquisitions in the same year, and we could support all of the go-to-market motions of those companies, despite them all being very different. And even more importantly, we can future-proof them for their business moving forward. Salesforce CPQ also provides a single source of truth for all sales data. So if you think product pricing, order, contract, and asset data is all within Salesforce. This allows you to create dashboards and analytics to make better informed business decisions. This could be as simple as product margin performance, for example, or running a white space analysis across your customer base to structure a relevant sales campaign. And of course, with the Salesforce platform, we make it very easy to integrate into external systems. And we can facilitate downstream processes into your ERP systems or financial systems of record for GL and financial reporting. With the power of Salesforce, every one of your customer touchpoints is orchestrated, allowing you to deliver a seamless buying experience and have complete flexibility when taking products and services to market at pace. Next slide, please. So at Salesforce, we have a huge focus on customer success. We recently ran a study with 200 randomly selected customers, and these are the average success metrics that we saw. So as you can see, in collaboration with our customers, we're able to make a big impact. So with that, I'd now like to hand over to Avner, who will talk you through sales field service. Thank you.
Always a good start to unmute. I think that my slide is actually next. Oh, so nice to meet you. My name is Avner Indorski. I'm a field service management SE in Salesforce. I have around 15 years plus of experience in field service area, field service management. I was an implementer, an architect, and a sales engineer. And today I want to actually cover fascinating future trends in FSM. So what's coming our way, what's heading our way in the very near future. I can talk about it for hours. Unfortunately, we have quite limited time, so I'm going to focus on the top three, and I'll try to explain each one of them very quickly and keep the cool stuff on top. So we're going to talk about digital customer experience, augmented reality, and automated schedule optimization. Would you mind to skip the next slide? Thank you. So this is a quote from Gartner. By 2022, over 50% of field service providers will offer a specialized digital customer experience that enables two-way interaction and workflow initiation via multiple human and non-human channels. So we know we are on the way there. We have the Uberized experience. We can talk to our service providers via every known media channel, phone, email, chat, text, WhatsApp, social media, you name it. We can go through the process of getting field service experience where the first time we engage with an actual human being is when the technician is knocking on our door. So what? So what's the benefit here? Actually, we see that there is an increase in customer satisfaction. The customer is in control, gets a very fast response, and they don't need to spend so long waiting on the phone or waiting for something to happen. They know what's happened, they know when to prepare for it, and they know when the engineer is about to hit them. Operational efficiency. We actually reduce the workload on our call centers and service agents. Much less of where's my technician, where are they right now? I'm waiting here. And more of, oh, we already have a text from him. This means that we're actually reducing missed appointments. We always want to do a first-time fix and send as less people as possible. And in this case, we have much less missed appointments, which means that the customer is happier, but also the business is happier. We don't send people to an appointment that is being canceled last minute. Basically, this allows us also to make the rebooking process much easier and without human intervention, if we wish to do so. May I ask for the next slide, please? So this is where the cool stuff starts. The ability to basically add an additional layer of information for engineers. So I'm going to read it again. This is Gartner. I love the reviews. By 2025, over 50% of field service management deployments will include mobile augmented reality, collaboration, and knowledge sharing tools from less than 10% today. So this is 2019. This is the latest Gartner, so it's looking back a year. Think about it, an extra piece of information in front of our eyes, allowing us to communicate back and forth with the field. So as an example, a chief engineer guiding the on-site engineer on solving a problem remotely. We don't have to send someone to solve it again. We have a problem, we just connect with them, and through augmented reality, we get everything back. A nurse or a healthcare provider helping a patient overnight. There's usually a nurse on call. So something happened, they want to see what to do. They can give help to that patient, not just the augmented reality kind of look, I have something in here, but also using OCR and reading those small prints. In both cases, and many more, I must say, there are tons of scenarios here. We see a huge value evolving around increasing first-time fix. I don't have to send someone there again. I have a problem, someone will help me remotely. Increasing utilization. We work better, we do better when we arrive there. It's not just making sure that I'm working during that time, it's actually making me more efficient during that time and not requiring me to send someone else. And as a side result, we see an increase in customer satisfaction as expected, but also in employee satisfaction. You're happy when you can complete your job and get better and have the backup of the company and help and support when and where you need it. May I ask for the next slide, please? So this is supposed to be a surprise for us. Automated schedule optimization. We are all optimizing. Well, by 2025, algorithms and bots will schedule over 2/3 of field service work for field service providers, dependent on automatic schedule optimization. This is up less than 25% right now. So only 25% of our customers are actually using properly schedule optimization. This is not just Salesforce customers, this is field service management customers in general. So we are not really fully optimizing. We're not really there if only 25% are there. We can see an improvement in optimization algorithms, which means that this is going to be an improvement both in performance and the type of scenarios we can deal with. So in the past, performance was always an issue, and it's becoming less and less of an issue. We have better ways to do it. And we can deal with a wider variety of scenarios. The platform is way bigger. These improvements will allow us to automate more and let our schedulers focus on those unique challenges that are the exceptions. For me, optimization is solving the major bulk of the issue and leaving only those unique ones, the exceptions for the schedulers, if it works at its best, of course. As a result, we expect to see a reduction in schedule volatility. It's not something explosive that we need to react to anytime. We can actually plan a little better. This better planning is increasing planning and schedule accuracy. We're seeing and doing better. And this is resulting, again, happier customers and way happier employees. They agree with the schedule, they see what's happening, they can plan their day accordingly, and they're getting something that makes sense. They don't drive all over the place, just to the next job that is really nearby. And with that point, I'll be happy to pass to my next colleague.
Thanks, Avner. That was a great review of some of the challenges we're facing in field service at the moment and what's coming down the pipe in the future. So with the overview of CPQ and field service that we've had, PolSource were asked by Salesforce to join those two fantastic modules of functionality to combine the ability to do quotations with field management activity. So we've produced the FSQ solution, which really brings your sales activity into the field. And we know from much experience that many of your very best interactions with your customers are those that happen face-to-face in the field. Unfortunately, those are being reduced at the moment. Many salespeople aren't able to get onto client sites. Account managers aren't able to go and visit their raft of customers, and we have to rely on those necessary visits for maintenance and installation from technicians. Technicians are also highly trusted by their regular customers, who feel that they're very often talking to a peer. They're very often getting expert advice about the products or services which are being delivered in the field. And it's a great opportunity to be able to give those technicians the ability to upsell and cross-sell, resulting in bigger invoices. You're not going to miss those selling opportunities. The technician doesn't have to remember or rely on a note going back to the salesperson to raise an invoice or a quotation. The salesperson doesn't need to try and track down the customer anymore. The field service technician can close that business while they're face-to-face with the customer. And our system is a simple process. It's automated. There's no fuss and hassle for the technician. It's in the environment that they're used to. It's on their mobile device. Some simple finger clicks and a signature, which they'll be getting as part of their installation process anyway. So it's a very simple, intuitive process. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we've experience with and use cases for both business to business and B2B to C. So business to business, we have the ability for the technician to provide quotations and upsell for additional warranty to customers, and to deliver services to them as well, such as additional training or extra work that might be required. For the B2B to C, we empower the mobile technician to quote to the customer, to run promotions in the field, so we can deliver textual information and graphical information to the technician, so you can be sure that the right promotional information is being delivered to your customers. And you're switching on an additional sales channel. Again, you're opening up your sales to the field team as well. So if we go on to the next slide, we've got a little presentation of it. Michael, if you come off mute and press play, hopefully we'll get some sound. If not, I can talk over it as well.
We have here a work order with the work order line item for the carrier 12.5 ton to be installed at Burlington. That particular asset is associated with this product, and we can see the details of the product here, an image and a description and the product code. It also has some related items, including product offer records, these options here, which show additional products which can be sold or discussed alongside this product, including oil and air filters and 2 or 3 of the warranty plans as well. I come back to the work order. We refresh the product offers. Based on those offers that are associated with that product, we can create these product offer records here as well. We've also created an additional work order line item for the aftermarket service discussion. So this is a prompt to the technician to talk with the customer about these product offers. Okay, so that's being done automatically based on some products associated with the asset that we're installing. We can also now go and assign this work to one of our technicians. I'm going to get candidates, assign it to Alan Reed for Wednesday, schedule that to Alan. We can go and see his service appointment here as well. So this tells us what he's going to be doing and when. I just need to change the status of this service appointment from scheduled to dispatched, so that all of this data will sync across to his mobile device, so he'll be able to see what work he needs to do on Wednesday. I've now logged in here as Alan Reed on the mobile device, and I can see that service appointment here for Wednesday. I can see the details of the work that needs to be done and where, and I've got my work order line items, with number 1 being the installation of that particular device. So I'm just going to quickly mark that as completed. And go to the aftermarket discussion. I want to go and view my product offers. And I can see here that we've got the air filter and the silver plan and the platinum warranty plan, and some other items such as the oil filter as well. Now, during my installation, I installed or left behind 3 additional oil filters, which the customer was happy to accept. I did talk with them about a couple of the maintenance plans as well. We talked about the silver plan, but that was rejected. We did talk about the platinum plan, and that's what the customer has decided to go for. So I can select the platinum plan, click on next, and mark that one as accepted. Next and finished, and might add just one more an extra hour's work for the oil filters, and that's been accepted as well. Okay, so we've got those details here on the work order. I can mark that as complete as well. Save that. Complete the installation. Go to the work order here, the original work order. You can see its details, and I want to mark this as closed as well. So the work has now all been done. Done the installation, we've left behind a couple of additional air filters, and we've upsold to a platinum plan, and we're completing that as well. Now the data is synced, and we can create our service report. We've got the details here of the additional products and the platinum plan that we've discussed with the customer, and the additional subtotal down there at the bottom of just over 10,000. So we'll get our signature from the customer, and we save that, and we can generate our report. Back in Salesforce now, we've got the service appointment. If we go to the original parent record, the work order, we can see that the product offers have been updated. So you can see that the silver plan was rejected, but the platinum plan has been accepted. You can see what else has been accepted as well. So we've got the oil filter and the additional hours work here. And also, back on the work order, automatically in the background, the system has created an opportunity which has a stage status of closed won because the customer has signed it and accepted it. And that's also being linked to a quotation in Salesforce CPQ. So we've got the details here of this accepted quotation with the related quote lines for the platinum plan, the labor, and the oil filter. If we go to the opportunity again, we can see that the technician's activity in the field has generated an additional $10,000 worth of business. Now that was a work order having some product offers associated to it because of the product and the asset that the work was for, and then the technician being able to close that additional business from the work order activity. That then created a closed won opportunity and the associated accepted quotation. The system will also work in the other way around as well, in as much as a salesperson can create a quotation, have that accepted, and that quotation for a product will generate in its own right a work order with the necessary line items to have the products installed. And again, that cycle will go through to product offers being associated and the technician being able to provide upsell opportunities as well. So we've integrated Salesforce CPQ and Salesforce Field Service so that quotes will create work orders and line items. The technician can present product offers, which if accepted will also create closed won opportunities and accepted quotations.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael. I hope that was a helpful presentation of a little bit of field service and the field service quote in action. Thank you. So now we'll hear from Donna, one of our fantastic valued customers at Aggreko. Are you there, Donna?
I am here. Can you hear me okay?
We can. It's fantastic to hear from you. And thank you for joining us all the way from the United States.
Thank you for having me. And I appreciate the opportunity. I too, as Abner said, will have to work hard to keep this down to 10 or 15 minutes. I get to talking about this experience and I get a little bit, well, excitable. It's been a difficult process of this transformation, but with the PolSource and Salesforce teams on board with us, we've been able to call it successful. And I'd like to tell a little bit about that story, if that's okay. Maybe we'll go to the next slide. I'll make sure I introduce Aggreko. Again, we're a global company. We have over 200 sites around the world doing everything from small installations where we put a generator on site to the Olympics and everything in between. We power the Olympics. We provide temperature control for the Olympics so that we can produce snow when there is no snow, which is difficult for ski events, etc. You can imagine. So we have a broad range of work that we do around the world and lots of different types of customers and experiences. We've also had, if we don't mind going to the next slide, a lot of different processes around the world. And our challenge, to say it lightly, was that we had very different processes around the world. Many were based on an Excel file to create a quote, for example. Others would create a quote, create an Excel file, and then go into some system and do something separately. They're very different, very time consuming. And in the end, the fact is the customer was not getting the experience that they expect from us or that we expect from ourselves. And we started this journey back in 2015, 2016, simply with the fact that we could not continue to grow our business and grow our products or our services without improving our overall functionality and being able to do easier to do business with. And that's one of our philosophies that we started with. We need to make business easier to do, and we need to make be easier to do business with. And that's one of the things, a couple of things we heard from our customers. We had a big challenge ahead of us. As a global company, we had a number of different sales approaches that we also had to take into account, which made this job very difficult for the Salesforce team as well as the PolSource team. But both teams jumped in, some might say head first into this. As a matter of fact, if I had a little bit longer to tell you the story, I'd tell you about how the PolSource CPQ work started in January of 2017 with us in a room in Houston where we spent more hours than I think anybody ever wanted to spend together. But we did a good job of producing a product that the teams around the world could use. Let me just make sure. Yeah, one of the keys here on this slide about the challenge was legacy systems, but legacy processes also. So I want to reiterate here that along the way with Salesforce and PolSource, we not only had to implement new technologies, but we had a lot of change management to bring along with us. And again, the teams were a big part of that success as well. If I go to the next slide and we talk a little bit about the solution, as I've intimated earlier, we had a long-term project that started in early 2016, and as late as this year, we did our last implementation of CPQ around the world. We started with our what we call local business, our smaller smaller projects, and then built into our more global, more industrial business. That's where we ended the deployment of CPQ. we had to first develop a CPQ CPQ tool that included all of our product offerings. And I think if I were to describe to any of you the complications that we like to create around pricing and products, and the fact that CPQ is able to handle that for us, and the PolSource and Salesforce team came together to manage that. Again, complicated or simple solutions you're able to do through CPQ. And I think that with great success, we've accomplished that. I think that the other thing I wanted to bring to light here is there's a bullet here about integrated back office. I'd like to say that a little simpler and just tell you that when we started this process, 80% of our salespeople didn't create their own quotes. And what that meant was they created an Excel file or an email that told somebody in a back office to create a quote. And then that would then be sent to the salesperson, which then be sent to the customer. The time that took and the lag that took, we were clear was costing us business. Quite frankly, I don't think we were real clear how much it was costing. Now we know that a salesperson can sit in a customer's office or quite frankly in their car in the parking lot after a meeting and create a quote in anywhere from 5 to 25 minutes, depending on the size of the quote. And that has significantly impacted our throughput and our efficiencies. We've also been able to do a better job of quoting. One of the things CPQ brings to the table that FSL, by the way, if I could add that in, benefits from tremendously is the fact that we do a more complete quote, because we were able to put products together and choose options to go along with our primary product that makes that field service trip much more efficient, and they're able to have all the information they need with them as well. So again, I can't tell you enough of the improvements we've seen in our customer experience, which is really all that matters when you get to the end of the day. When you start with a customer that gets a quote that's correct the first time and complete, and that same information is in one place, a single source. I've heard a couple of comments made earlier here about the single source of the truth. And the single source is Salesforce, and you can see the same information whether you're sitting in an office as a back office clerk, or you're the salesperson or the technician on the road. See the same information at the same time, real time. Can't describe the improvement that makes, except to tell you that our customers are feeling the impact of that, and therefore we are feeling the impact of the improvement. I won't tell you it's an easy process, especially if your business is as complicated as Aggreko's. But the Salesforce team and the PolSource team as implementers have a great program of how to manage this and how to help you manage and plan for the change, both the technical change and the change management from the process perspective. In the end, we've gotten a new tool from a new set of tools, a new suite of tools from Salesforce, including Salesforce CRM, CPQ, and FSL. We are quoting around the world in the same tool and able to manage and manage our business, including forecasting better through this tool. You can see also that we've rolled out Sales Field Service Lightning, around the rental solutions business, which is, as I mentioned, our sort of local business, less industrial, and are looking to roll it out around the rest of the world. And we also, in the end, have the introduction of this new DevOps process to manage the development, all of which came from this, we'll call it program, I call it experience, that we've gone through with Salesforce and PolSource in the last 3 to 4 years. I hope that I gave a good enough, improved enough picture of where we are, and the benefit of bringing CPQ. I can't tell you enough the benefit of bringing CPQ and field service to our business. Our customers can tell you though, and that may be the best experience that you can get. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Donna. It's a pleasure to hear from you, and it's been great working with you recently on these. And just very quickly, I hadn't really heard of Aggreko before started working with them, and I keep seeing the name all over the place now. Aggreko provide power services and solutions to all kinds of events. I first saw them at a circus in Valencia, but any number of music concerts. And next year, when you're watching the Olympics, you will know that Aggreko were providing all of the power for the Olympics in Japan next year as well. So a very wide-reaching organization with extremely complex processes. And thank you for the introduction there. We will have an opportunity for questions to us as well as to Donna towards the end of the webinar. Thank you again, Donna.
I'll be around for those. Thank you for the time.
Perfect. I'm going to hand over to my colleague Greg now.
Thank you, Ben. So the question we often get asked is, where do we start? So if we're looking to expand our solutions, particularly in the field service area, how do I really understand what a program looks like? Well, let's first think about what we're anticipating in terms of an outcome when we invest in technology like Salesforce. Now, we expect that after our deployment has gone to plan, that we're going to be on the green, happy path to success. And you have to forgive the shameless London Underground puns here, but we expect our users to adopt, whether they be in, remote in field or in office. We expect those processes to seamlessly come together and deliver great operational efficiencies that over time delivers a fantastic customer experience and in turn a worker experience, which can help us generate tremendous financial returns. However, if you click on, it's a sad fact that unfortunately many transformation programs just don't end up on the green line at all. They end up in what we call the harsh reality line. And there are industry journalists out there that predict about 2/3 of CRM programs at some point are on that harsh reality line. And it's our premise that you get there because you haven't necessarily done the right foundational work up front to really understand the vision, or to really understand where you're heading in terms of experience, particularly customer experience, and connecting those experiences back to the enablement of the technology. And you end up with this horrible, again, forgive the shameless pun, if you click on, that horrible mind the gap moment where the expectation is very, very different to what you set out to achieve, even if you've had a successful technical deployment. So how can we help you? So we have a very simple but powerful framework at PolSource called our 10 keys to customer success. You see the 10 keys in front of you there. This isn't forced consulting that we talk all our clients through at the beginning, but this is advice and guidance to help you achieve success through making sure that we put the right emphasis on each of these keys at the appropriate point in your implementation journey. So at the start, it's really important that that business vision, that alignment to your corporate objectives, and the experience really comes to life. So that's the two of the core areas that I'm going to concentrate on today to really help you understand how can you really understand the experience that you need to drive and back to the Aggreko experience to end up delivering a fantastic customer experience at the end of your program. So if you click on, please, we've got a framework that we adopt called Connected Experience. So the premise is simple. The expectation that you cannot deliver a great customer experience unless you also have the lens internally on what your workers are doing, because ultimately it's those humans that end up building the experience. When we talk customer experience, we're talking 3 core outcomes. If you think about the front end of the journey, it's about how you're driving that engagement. You're making that emotional connection with the brand and helping organizations and individuals understand what you stand for, but the products and services that can actually help solve their issues. Then once you're into the sales cycle and service cycle, you're driving satisfaction. You're trying to get your customers to the point of being loyal. But loyalty in this day and age isn't enough. What you're trying to get at a point of amplification where your customers become your best brand advocates. So that amplification is really important, and it's our premise that it's very difficult to get to that point unless you've had positive human experiences with your brand, which is why the field service area is so important. Then on the worker side, our 3 core outcomes is motivation. How do I link the work that my people are doing to understand their impact on the customer experience? How do I make them more productive with real-time tools, predictive technology, and the right information at the right time? And then very, very important in this day and age is how do I make my organization and the individuals and teams within it adaptable? So if we think about how all this plays out to field service, I'm not going to go around all of these, but maybe let's concentrate on a couple of areas, because the sort of work that we do to begin with is understand your current state experience. We understand the friction points, but also the opportunities to improve. So if we dig into satisfaction, for example, we see organizations very much who are trying to enable more field service technology, having a very hard job today, differentiating their experience for different segments of customers. So they end up with a somewhat vanilla experience, a one size fits all, which can be quite expensive for the lower end tier, but not sufficient for the upper end. So the field service capabilities is a very good way of actually understanding how you can tailor that experience. Given your technicians the right information to be able to resolve the customer issue on the first visit. And actually understanding that many organizations and individuals from a B2C perspective are really fed up with a hard sell. So how can I make my technicians more of that trusted advisor so the cross-sell and upsell actually becomes more of a natural experience and actually a helpful experience rather than pushing products and services that the customers pushing back against. And then if we flick around, look at some examples in productivity, this is about giving our agents and technicians the appropriate tools, real-time information, making sure that they've got the 360-degree access to data, making their life easy as well in terms of prioritization and routing and mapping, to make their journeys as efficient as possible, to maximize the time that they then spend on the visits, and giving them the right information to solve the customer's problems, but also thinking about how they can add value on every single interaction, which can then generate revenue generating opportunities. So that's what we do to begin with. We really understand the connection between the two, the customer experience and worker experience. We also have a survey diagnostic, which we're able to benchmark your existing capabilities. So a diagnostic is applied through SurveyMonkey. It's a very simple 20-minute questionnaire that digs into these 9 areas. And that gives us a good understanding of the capabilities that you've got in play today, and also good understanding of where you need to drive improvements. Where are the gaps? Now, it's not necessarily the case that you've got to be best in class in all of these areas. It really depends on the market, your competition, and the nature of the customer experience that you really need to drive. Sometimes best in class is too expensive an investment, but certainly for most of your operation, you need to be in a level of maturity. So understanding, as you can see, there's quite a few areas in this case that fall behind the game, some in undefined, some in developing. We need to bridge that gap and bring smart processes and technologies to life in order to do that. So with that current state in mind, we then move into visioning. So if you can click onto the next one. So our visioning, and I understand there's a lot of words on this slide, but let me break this out. This is what we call a vision map, and this is really important framework for governing technology programs. It has a number of essential elements to it. This is put together through some collaborative workshops that we do with our customers, and essentially this has got the core ingredients to make you successful. It starts with that strategic purpose at the top, a vision statement as to what it is you're trying to achieve. So to do this, we have cross-representation from the key people, core stakeholders that would be relevant for your CRM program. That vision statement, you'll notice, says very little about the technology. It's really about the successful business outcomes and the experiences that you're looking to drive as a business. That's underpinned by between 4 and 6 guiding principles. So you'll see our principles there. In this case, we have 5. Those are the things that we need to make true in order to deliver the vision. They are then defined by our defining attributes, which are the actions and behaviors that support them. And then really importantly, we think about how we're going to measure success, not just for the start of the program, but right the way through as we go through the technology implementation and beyond into reinforcement. How do we really understand whether we're moving the dial? So those success metrics are really important to get nailed early, because that's how we're going to course correct as we go. And one of the great examples of why we need things like the guiding principles, we use them as scoping guardrails. So as we go through the early parts of the journey, and we start to understand the capabilities that we need to bring to life, some of those capabilities may not actually move the dial on those guiding principles. So there'd be a very good way of actually saying, well, for now, these are out of scope. So it becomes a nice governance framework that's very easy to apply on the program. And a good example of that is on the next slide. So once we start to build the capabilities and understand, what's it going to take to bring your vision to life, we'll have that inventory, the list of all the things that we would like to do across the technology, across process change, some of the people side of things, data. And from that list, we'll score for impact on the guiding principles. As I said, anything that scores low may be deprioritized. The others then we'll look at in terms of the ease of execution, in order to really understand how difficult is it to put these things in place. Is there a natural sequencing to these? And then armed with that information, we're able to construct a roadmap. And typically we'll look at things such as a crawl, walk, run, getting the foundations in first, getting that experience, learning from it, ensuring that we don't have too big a jump from an adoption standpoint. So really thinking about the change enablement journey as part of this. And then once we have that solid foundation, we can start to build more of the value-added components onto it. So here you'll see as an example of a client that's gone down the Service Cloud field service and CPQ journey, the various elements that come in at various parts across that journey. But always with program governance and change enablement, going across the program to really make sure that we're doing the right things. And it's back to those 10 keys to bring the program to life and make sure that we're achieving those successful business outcomes. Okay, so it's our premise that by leveraging the keys, we can make sure that we bring you back onto that expectation line, so that expectation and reality become one. So whether you're haven't started your program yet, or whether potentially you've gone off piste and you've found yourself on the harsh reality line, come and talk to us, because some of these frameworks, and these are things that we can do in days and weeks. These aren't frameworks that are expensive consulting engagements that last for months. The idea with our frameworks here is that we can drive value quickly and give you the right remediation advice. So you can click on to the next one, please, Michael. So if you are looking for some advice and guidance, please come and talk to us. As I said, we've got templates and frameworks that really can help you go at speed. So rather than slowing you down, they actually, for many of our clients, act as accelerators, because there's a great mechanisms for actually aligning your stakeholders, getting a better understanding of what it's going to take to do this, to enable the point to deliver a sequence roadmap and really understand what a program looks like around it. Hand it back to you, Michael, to talk about the implementation packages.
Thank you so much, Greg. So as a thank you to everyone who attended, we, as Greg mentioned, we would love to come in and come into your business and run a 10 keys exercise with you to help you understand, or help us jointly understand where you are in your process and what level of maturity you're at in order to start looking at other business processes that you'd like to add within your business. On the technical side, we've got quick start packages for those who are ready to jump on the technologies that they want to enable within their business. So you can see that we've got CPQ billing, field service, and of course, field service quick starts. They're all roughly about 6 weeks in duration. But in order to understand whether or not you'd be able to take advantage of those quick starts, it's probably best to engage us in a 10 keys exercise first. For our Salesforce colleagues who are on the call, if you have clients or prospects who would like to potentially go on this journey as well, please reach out to us and we can quickly do an assessment to see if they would be a good fit, and we can certainly engage and move things forwards together with you. So we don't have too much time left, so I'd like to move on to the Q&A session. If there's any questions in the gallery. Cool. So we've got a question here. So maybe Ben, I'll sort of prep you as somebody who might be able to answer this. If I already have field service and CPQ in my organization, how much effort is it really to get me enabled to use field service quote?
Thank you for the question. I think that's from Sophie. The implementation of FSQ can be done relatively quickly. It depends really on the number of products which are involved with the organization and the number of those related products, the offers which go with them, because those records need to be set up and understood. It can be done relatively quickly. We've done implementations in environments that have got field service and CPQ in a small number of weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. But it depends a little bit on the nature of the requirements in the customer. But it can be done very fast.
Thank you very much, Ben. Unless there's any other questions, I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you to all our panelists, in particular to our colleagues at Salesforce, and of course, Donna, our customer speaker, for joining us. Donna, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. The story was amazing, and you made this webinar far more impactful than if it were run without you. So thank you so much. To everybody who attended, also another thank you for sparing the time to join this webinar. We will look to reach out to you after this with a recording, as Adam mentioned in the beginning, along with a copy of this deck, so you can read through some of the slides, especially the example outputs that Greg does as part of a 10 keys or a visioning exercise. So thank you so much, everybody, for your time, and have a fantastic rest of your day.